Hi, this is an exercise session that I've made specifically for the new mum. All the exercises are safe and designed to help strengthen the core, the pelvic floor, deal with any diastasis recti issues and just make you feel great. I'm going to use a yoga block for these exercises. For some of them, you can swap in a sofa cushion or anything. So let's get started by standing with our feet hip width apart, heels underneath your hip bones, your outside edges of your feet lined up. And let's think about just dropping our bottom rib down and backing your hips up so you feel the back of your body switch on. Your lower back should be long through this drop of your ribs. Chin is tucked in, back of your head pushed back behind you. So I'm going to push one of my feet into the floor so the other leg lifts. So you can see I've translated that leg down in order to get this one up. I'm trying not to have this hip hitch out to the side. And then this floating leg is just going to go out to the side and in. I just wanted to go straight out, and what I'm thinking about is my standing side staying nice and long. So I'm going to do 2 more of these on this side. And then I'm going to put that foot down, hip width away from the other. I'm going to press into the foot that I just put down so that I translate it down into the floor and the other side lifts up. Try and keep that hip in. Try and keep long through your standing side. And the floating leg goes out and in. So 6 times. 3 more. Lovely. And then let's bring that leg in. And we're going to stretch out our sides now in a nice side bend. So I'm going to take left foot behind me and then take my left arm up and overhead. And I'm going to pull the wrist of that hand and push my hip out to the side. So I've got a nice crescent shape in my body. I'm stretching all through that side. You can see with my side view that I'm slightly tipped forward to make sure that I'm not stretching the front there, I'm stretching the back of my waist. Let's change to the other side. So, other foot goes behind you, arm up overhead, push that hip out to the side, and you're slightly tipped forward. Great, feels great. Wide leg squats now. Feet into a big wide V, as wide as you can manage. And we're just going to go up and down first of all. So lowering your hips as low as they can go. And then let's think about keeping your knees wide so that you're not losing your arches. Your knees seem to go over your little toes. You can feel that stretch in your inner thighs as you go up and down. And now let's stay down and just tuck and untuck your pelvis. So I'm drawing my tailbone underneath me and then sticking it out behind me. So getting a change here in the slope of my pelvis. And then stay with an untucked pelvis. So my tailbone sticking out behind me. I've got a curve in my lower back. And then just see how low you can sit your hips. There should be no weight on your toes here, so shift your weight back if you don't feel weight on your heels. And then let's just have a little shift from left to right. So just making sure that we're using both of our inner thighs. See if you can sit down any lower. Knees wide, remember. Lovely, and then let's come all the way up and we're going to fold over one leg. The leg that we're folding over can be bent. The other leg is straight. So you're bringing your chest as close as you can to that thigh. And then you're going to ease the back of the knee backwards. It doesn't need to get straight. Just as straight as you can get it without too much of a strain behind the knee. So you've eased it back. Lift your tailbone up to the ceiling. Drop your head. And then just feel the stretch, the back of the knee and back of the thigh. Okay, let's bend the leg that we're over, bend the other, come up. We're going to fold over the other leg. So the leg that we're over can be bent, the other leg is straight, and then we're easing the leg that we're over back behind us, so it's straightening out, doesn't need to be straight. Lift your tailbone to the ceiling, drop your head. And then let's bend both knees to come back up. Walk your feet in together. We're going to go down onto the floor to stretch the front of the hip. So for this front of the hip stretch, I'm going to use something underneath my knee. You don't need to if you haven't got it to hand, but it's quite nice in setting the pelvic bones to the right level. So I've got something under my back knee. That could be a cushion. I've got a yoga block, and I'm taking a step forward with the other leg. My heel needs to be underneath the knee or maybe a little bit further away. Draw the hip of the back leg forward, and then I'm going to tuck right under. So I'm making a stretch in the front of my hip of this back leg by bringing my pubic bone forward of my hip bones. Hands are going to go on the outside of your front thigh then, and you turn, look over that shoulder, drop your chin to your chest. Keep pushing that pelvic tilt. It feels like you're pushing the back knee into the cushion or block. Let's do the other leg. So try and keep everything hip width. Then we're bringing that back hip forward. We're doing a good tuck under. Hands on the outside of the thigh. Turn, look over your shoulder, drop your chin. Every time you feel that you can move forward, you need to tuck under more, so you're breaking your lunge forward with that back hip flexor. Okay, great. We're going to come off the block and go into an all fours position, and we'll get some movement into the lower part of the spine. You need a little bit of a bend in each elbow, especially if you're very mobile. Your shoulders are down away from your ears. You've got a wide upper back, and we're just going to start by just mobilizing the lower part of your spine. So I'm just tucking and untucking my pelvis. And then I'm going to make those into cat stretches. So I'm going to tuck my tailbone right under, tuck my chin into my chest, lift your middle back right up to the ceiling, take a big breath, and then empty your breath out as you lower your back and extend your spine. Big breath, tuck, tuck and lift. And then 2 more times. So use the breath to get a really good fill of the lungs. 1 more. Fabulous. Let's just sit back, flatten out your feet, just to lengthen after that exercise. We're going on to our back now. So I'm going to put this yoga block underneath my head. Remember, you could equally use a cushion. So I'm going to lie with a long spine and my feet and knees in line with my hips. I'm going to put my hands on my hip bones and slightly in towards my tummy, just so I can monitor that area. And I'm just going to do some pelvic tilting until my lower back is just off the floor. My hip bone, pubic bone plane is parallel to the floor. And then I'm going to draw my ribs down to the floor and tuck my chin in. Okay, everything's going to stay nice and stable in the pelvic area. And I'm just going to let one knee go out to the side. I'm not dropping it. I can stop it at any point. And then I'm going to pull it back in again. Stay with the same knee. Take it out to the side. So that knee's moving, but what I'm monitoring is the other leg. I want the other leg to stay nice and still, the foot to stay light in the floor, and the hip to not shift at all. So when this knee comes in, I don't feel a drop of the hip on the other side. And I'm going to do 3 more with this leg. So I just want 3 good ones, and I can feel the muscles that are working that leg is inner thigh and then inside between my hips. Everything else pretty relaxed. Okay, let's just do 1 more. Okay, we'll change to the other side. So nice and light on your stabilized still leg, and the other knee is traveling out and it's traveling in. Nice and slow. We've got 4 more. Two more. So these are easy to monitor because you know they're going wrong and your pelvis is shifting when that hip bone moves. So we've got a good gauge on that. Lovely. So that leg comes in, and now we're going to go to some straight leg lifts. So I'm going to take a big breath in, and the breath out is going to empty my pelvis out through my mouth. And on one of those out breaths that center me through the middle, I'm going to lift my leg. So my leg lifts up, and I'm going to straighten it out. So I want to find a place where I haven't got any bulging in the middle in holding that leg up. Everything should be nice and soft, not a massive amount of effort to hold the leg there. Obviously, there's already some effort in the thigh trying to hold it up and in your pelvis. The leg that's out is going to be straight. I'm going to flex it to make the foot to make sure that it stays straight. And I want to keep nice and soft in my middle and have that closed feeling, drawing my hip bones in towards each other, pelvic floor slightly pulled up on every out breath. So I'm going to breathe in, and on that out breath, I'm just going to drop the leg slightly, and then I'm going to lift it up. And that's it. It's going to go up and down. We're just going to do 6 on each leg. And all you're monitoring is that your hands aren't feeling a bulging underneath them. Maybe some tensing, but not a push, bread loafing into your hand. And the other leg's nice and still, not much weight on the other foot, not a changing weight on the other foot. And you can feel it not coming from down your spine, but just from your middle. It'll be the back of the leg working and your pelvis area. You're going to feel your thigh as well. Is that 1 more? Let's do 1 more. Okay, let's draw that leg in. Big breath, breathe out. Other leg lifts the tabletop. Let's straighten it out, flex it, lift it so you can feel relaxed. Breath. Now, if when you lift your leg, you can't straighten it without loads of tension in your middle, then you can do these with a bent leg. So you can carry on if you're fine with it straight. Otherwise, you're doing it with a bent leg and you're thinking of your thigh as the rest of your leg, and you're doing just little dips up and down of the bent leg. So up to you which option you choose. Okay, and then we're going to fold that foot in. I'm putting the soles of my feet together and just let your knees flop out. Let's bring our knees together. We're going to go onto our side and we're going to work the hip. So I'm going to be up on an elbow, but if you'd rather not be, then you can lie out over your bottom arm or have your head in your hands. Your knees need to be right up in front of your hips. right angle at the knee, so your knees are stacked. It might look like your top knee is a little bit too far over the bottom knee. And we're going to keep our waist lifted. So your hand can be on your hip here or on the floor in front of you, but you do need to keep lifted. Head and extension of your spine, ribs down. I'm going to lift my top leg, and if my knee has a tendency to go higher than the foot, try and keep that knee slightly lower than the foot. And then I'm going to extend the leg out, just slightly in front of my body. The knee bends in, it comes down again. Comes up, goes out, in and back. It doesn't have to go to a locked out straight position, but you do want to keep the heel slightly higher than the knee. Okay, we're going to just do 2 more after this, and you might already feel that hip starting to hum. Last one. Let's hold this out. So now we're going to point the toe, or you can flex it. Either way, it keeps it nice and straight, and we're going to pulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Knee comes in, and you might want to give that outer hip a bit of a rub, and we'll swap over to the other side. So, knees right in front of your hip. They might feel like they're a bit too close, so bring them right up. Feet out 90 degrees, calves 90 degrees to your thighs. Elbow underneath your shoulders, ribs lifted. Big breath. So it's nice and slow. Heel always slightly higher than your knee. You might find a difference between your hips. Many of us have one hip that's a lot stronger than the other. Okay, we've just got one more. Make sure you're keeping that waist lifted. Let's hold the leg out now. Heel higher than the knee, waist up. Point or flex that foot. We're going to pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the knee comes in. Give it a rub if it needs one. Okay, let's come up to kneeling now. We've just got one more. So our knees are going to be as wide as your mat. If you're not using a mat, I just want my knees wider than my feet, which are together. Hands on your hips. We're going to work the glutes, work the pelvic floor, and get some tilting going into our lower back. So I'm going to start with my hips pressed forward. Everything's squeezed with that press forward. My bottom's squeezed. I feel this tuck of my pelvis. And I'm going to keep my ribs down as I untuck my pelvis and then bring my bottom to a hover over my heels. And then come up, squeeze, and then go down, hover. So use the breath. And make sure you're squeezing both hip bones forward equally. Let's just do 2 more. Okay, this one we're going to hold the squeeze up at the top. So we're squeezing, both glutes squeezed. Everything's pretty tense around this area. And just hold it. If you can, draw your pelvic floor up and in. And we're just going to do 4 little pulses here. So just let that go. You're relaxing your bottom, you're squeezing forward. Relax, squeeze, relax. And last one. Great, and then sit your hips back, knees come in. We're going to take our arms in front of us. Just drop your head to the floor. Take a breath here. And we're going to do a twisted child's pose. You come up vaguely into all fours, post one arm behind the other, stretch it right out along the floor, bring the side of your forehead or cheek to the floor, and the other arm can reach forward. If it feels too uncomfortable to reach that arm forward, then you can still keep it on the floor so it's just taking some weight off your neck. And you're sitting your hips back with this twist in your back. Let's go to the other side. So push through the hand on the floor to come up. Reach the other hand, arm through, side of your head to the floor. Reach forward or not. Great, push through your hand to come up. Well done. I hope you enjoyed doing that.